Hello and welcome to another continued chat of 2020, a look back at what was an incredible sporting year in Greyhound racing. We have three men that are dreaming of further success in 2021, but they've already achieved plenty in the past 12 months. Of course, we have Mickey Rooney, one of the main men behind Rooney the Laurels champion. Des Grace, the man that was lucky enough to win the Champion Stakes with Pestana and who went so close in the Irish Derby only to suffer such serious heartache in the decider. But he's one or two more stars that he's going to tell us about a little bit later on. And we're joined by John Kennedy Jr., a man who has already tasted plenty of success in his young career. I've been told that he's doing the right thing, going to college, trying to put off the dogs for as long as possible, but may well be back and getting really stuck in. But I know he has one or two stars to look forward to in 2021. But they already achieved some success in 2020 with Amazing Champ winning the €10,000 Salute to Our Industry Open on race day. Gentlemen, you're very welcome on this day to reflect on what was a very strange year, but in terms of success on the track, well, a good one for yourselves. I know, Des, you had up and down fortunes, but Pestana did provide you with one great night.
Oh God, he provided me with so many great nights. Ian, it was unreal. Like, he was magical, mystic, mythology almost. You know what I mean? It was just unreal for me. I had so many nights. I mean, we were in the final with him and Malachy in the Gold Cup start of the year. We had the Champion Stakes, and then there was that gradual build-up to become the very good dog that he was. It wasn't immediate with him. It was and then zoom, you know. And then right through the Derby, all the crack with yourselves, everything like that. It was great, like, you know, really, really fantastic.
Yeah, well,
very unfortunate
before you go completely off, we'll chat to a couple of lads, and then we might start with yourself because you seem to be raring to go. Mickey, running to see you was your champion. I suppose it was great to be able to share it with a group of your friends, a group of lads. It's what syndication's all about.
Yeah, Ian, it was great, like great for us lads that, you know, we put a syndicate together and in the hope of getting a decent dog, and we bought the dog off Johnny Lanahan, and you know, he turned out something special for us. And when the lockdown was lifted there in December, Johnny was decent enough to come up to RD with the dog, and we had a couple of laurel sheets that we got done out, and we got them framed. And look at the syndicate, had lovely pictures and my own family here in RD with the dog, and you know, it was brilliant.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. You get to enjoy the success. That was the main thing. John, of course, you've grown up in Greyhounds. You've grown up with success. It must come second nature to you at this stage. Like a Derby winner not so long ago, and here we have Amazing Champ. And of course, we'll get to Billy's Diva as well. You've got two real stars to look forward to in 2021, but a good year. €10,000 in your pocket for winning the unraced stake. Nothing wrong with that.
No, I'll come in handy now spending that, you know, for the coming year. Like, but sure, look, it was great to even have a winner. Shelby, you know, so hard to win, but to win a stake up there is great for us as a family, you know, like.
Yeah, and of course they're such young stars. They're only starting. You know, you can really start to look forward to 2021 now.
Oh, stop! Yeah, they're very strong running dogs. All the good news is, you know, it might lack a bit of early to the corner, but you know, hopefully that might come in time in the coming year. Like, so fingers crossed for a big year too. Like.
Yeah, well, strong running and honest. That's the main thing. A lot of very fast greyhounds. I'll tell you what, lads, we'll speak to each individually. And seeing as Des is so raring to go, we might as well start with the man himself. It was this time last year, you referred to it already, that Pestana was in the final of the Gold Cup along with Malachy. But Pestana back then was still a boy. He had yet to grow up. Owen McKenna said he came out of lockdown a completely different greyhound. Do you know what? Owen wasn't wrong. Pestana gave you an incredible journey through the second half of the year up to that Derby final when, you know, obviously tragedy struck. But thankfully, we've all seen the pictures, the videos. He's well in himself. But Des, I'm gonna get you to start the journey from the Gold Cup and thereafter.
Well, shortly after that, I think we had I can't remember exactly. We had the lockdown. Anyway, to make a long story short, which I can't do. He went down and he had a sprint in Shelburne and he flew. We were just delighted with him. And then he went down to Cork, and I'm pretty sure he was in with Mickey's. And he did 27.90 that night. And at that point in time, I mean, I never had a kind of a Derby dog. I had a runner all right before, but we weren't even thinking.
Did that catch you out, Des? Were you expecting that, or
no? Malik, we knew he'd do a good run in Cork, but we needed like to break 28 seconds in Cork. Like it was just, So Owen started thinking then. I got all the credit, but it was Owen. Owen says, he says, this guy, I think this guy's the Shelburne dog. Would we forget about the Podger Stakes? And so we went up to Shelburne. He ran these couple of races, and all of a sudden, like, it was just moving the right way all the way. Yeah. So it was fantastic.
The big step up was the Champion Stakes. It was 550.
Oh, yes.
Would he get home? In the semi-finals, of course, it was more of an exploratory mission. You must have been absolutely delighted with the way he run. He was picked up, of course, by a superstar.
It was 2 rounds. It was, because I always remember the semi-final, and I've often said this. What was the dog's name of Graham Holland? Black
Parachute.
Black Parachute. Yeah. We got home that night to qualify by, like, it was like that. And I said to Owen after, when we were in the stands when I joined the Derby, I says, if we had gone out that night, we'd have probably gone a different route, And then he came along. He ran an absolute man in the final. Like, he really ran a blinder in the final. And then onto the Derby, and it was great. Yeah.
The night in the final, as you say yourself, he did run like a man. He didn't run like a dog that needed to be out in front and, one of these flighty sort of dogs, if he's not in front, he doesn't win. Because he had to drive the corner that night. And he showed real determination.
Yes. And I think the Ballymac's got him back after in the final. But it was just that type, like, they kept running into one another, and he was just look, it's Greyhound racing. He was unlucky. We were lucky. I thought it was total tragedy after this. It was the second bend by the time I realized he was out of the race. And it was just total. And then, the vets, everything. And he's down below now. And Owen was unbelievable. And Robert Gleeson, I remember that night, was fantastic with us. But he's below now with Sean and Michael and Patsy above in Dunphy's. And for the want of a better word, he loves us. He loves his new life.
And why wouldn't he? And why wouldn't he?
He's very good.
He's living his best life, as you say. Des, I'll bring you back to that Champions Stakes final, because that was the night that, he claimed his big trophy. And, whereas the Derby performances really grabbed the attention, it was the night that he won the big trophy. He got a massive person. Over the years, the Champions Stakes, it's been won by some of the true great greyhounds of the past, but it often gets overshadowed in that year because of the Derby, because of its proximity, and it's almost seen as the lead into the Derby. But in itself, it's one of the highest quality competitions of the year, obviously, given the nature of the stake. And when you look back at the dogs he beat, you go, wow, like, we did achieve something great that night.
I remember we looked at that final, and even the semi-finals. You didn't even have to go to the final, but we looked at that final prior to it, and we said, "This is the final of the Derby," and it's amazing. I'm not great in recollection of times. There was at least 2 or 3 of them of the same field in the Derby final, and if they weren't, they were up there at the semi-final stage.
Ballymac Wild and Ballymac Cooper, were both.
Were they both in the? Yes, and yeah. And Anton, wasn't it? No, Cooper and Wise, yeah.
Cooper
and Liam 3 in that final or 4.
Ballymac Anton was in it.
He was, yeah.
Was he in the Champions Stakes final?
Yeah,
he's in the 2 final. Okay.
Liam had 3, he had 4.
Well, he had Ballymac Anton, Ballymac Wild.
Yeah.
And
it was.
Lenson Bucker was in it.
Yeah, Lenson Bucker was the defending Derby champion. Des, of course, then we did step back into the Derby, and we have referenced it a few times. Of course, he took off in the opening round, but it was the second round in which he really claimed his place in history. That was a very, very special night.
Well,
the 28.99 run.
You sum up that always, and I've played it a few times, if you don't mind me saying so. So you finished off the commentary there, and you said, Pestana, sensational.
Yeah.
I showed that to my granddaughter, and she actually says that.
In fairness to me, I overused the word. There'll be mornings I'll be having breakfast going,
I thought
sensational. I'm only joking.
Go away.
I know, it was sensational that night. Just to show how sensational it was, it did go viral, as they say in modern parlance. It went across the planet. Australia even rang me. I remember doing a piece with Australian television on the run of Pestana. Only last week I got a phone call from a man in Australia saying, how do I get in touch with the Dunphys? I want to get a couple of straws from Pestana. And in his stud career, is he proving popular? Do you think it's
Oh, he
going to
is.
be a situation where he's going to get a real good chance?
If things keep going, and you never know, as you know, with dogs, no matter what it is, and in that business, which I wouldn't be used to, like, I mean, I tried it years ago, not myself, with a Greyhound, and it didn't work out. Myself and my great friend Brendan Fitzgerald, we were like two carboons, as all I can say at it. But anyway, the boys are just different level. It's a hugely, how would you say, almost like hospital game these days, you know. But he's doing everything right, and if that continued, it'll all depend on his runners. Then, as I say, how will they go in like 12, 13, 14 months time, and what will be the future? We don't know. Yeah.
You certainly don't. Although he does seem to have all the ingredients. He was a
He
superb
does,
racer,
and
very determined and very well bred.
And the bitch winning the Derby after for the what's his name? That great jockey over
the Oaks, Pat
Dobbs.
Dobbs.
the Oaks. Sorry, the Oaks.
Johnny McBeanie.
Pat Dobbs and his brother, Alan, I think. She winning that was a big boost to us as well, you know. Yeah. The same dam, you say. Same dam, yeah.
Well, the fact that the dam was a 28-second picture in Shelton Park didn't help, or helped, of course, as well. You know, she was very, very talented indeed.
Made and very tough.
Yeah, very tough indeed. I think that goes with the territory down there.
You
have to know your game down there.
You won't survive in Ballymac without being tough.
We have to ask you, Des, how did you get Pestana out of the boys? Now, in fairness, they don't tend to give away their best ones. By all accounts, he's up there with the very, very best we've ever seen.
Yeah. So whether they changed the plan or what, I don't know. I went out there one night, I know it was at March or April some night, and the intention was to buy 2 pups. And I was going down along, and something wasn't available. I don't ask me what now. It's just pure luck. And as I was going down along, I happened to spot Coolavani Pet. Now, I thought she was one of the greatest bitches that ever ran, and one of the toughest. And I said to Liam, what about? He said, forget those. Go on, keep going. You see? So I said, no, we'll go back here. And he told me, I said, have you a black dog? He said, no. A brindle dog. I'll take the brindle dog, and that was it.
I can't believe he's not a black dog down there. He told me, or Shane told me yesterday, he between 15 and 20 broods, and not a black dog to be sold.
Yeah. Oh no, I have one.
Listen, Des, best of luck with him.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Of course, you're not without a dog at present. You also have another Derby dog for 2021 to look forward to.
Yeah,
a dog with great pace and a great name.
Well, it's amazing. Like during the run at Pestana, this sort of I'm in the syndicate, like Mickey there. I'm in the syndicate with 3 of the Dowlings, John McAuliffe, and 3 more Wild Valley McElligott men. And the dogs, we had a bit of fun how we named them. Great name, that is his name anyway. Yeah. And I wasn't even thinking about this dog because Pestana was doing his business. And the next thing Shane says, I'm going to take him to John Race in Dublin. I said, what? Taking John Race in Dublin. And he wins. And then he does what he did. And now he wasn't spared, I'll say that for him during the year. And his last run behind Pat Buckley's dog, Paddy McElligott's dog,
Knocking the Bull Sid.
Knocking the Bull Sid was fantastic one. Like that, the run of great name that. Going back and look at it, it was unbelievable that night coming from where he was, you know.
Yeah, the night on Winter Racing Festival was all it's about.
Yes,
he showed all his pace, determination, and strength that night. He's a dog with a big future, no question.
Oh God, he is. Yeah. Definitely. So it's just, you know, it's a dream to be involved in that syndicate with him, you know. So hopefully,
and hopefully a few more little Pestanas coming along the way as well.
Well, I'm not too sure about that, but hopefully one or two. Hopefully a couple of that we can get to Shelburne on a Saturday night.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions to ask you. So stay with me. We'll get them at the end because we're going to talk about the rest of your kennel strength. Mickey, running to see you, Laurels champion. Yeah. When you made the jump, obviously you were buying good breeding because we speak about Coolavani Pet. Well, Droopy's Harbour was a sensational performer on the track. Obviously that drew you. Of course, she's very well bred in the sire line too. Like she had it all.
Yeah, I know the Droopy's Harbour was a very lucky bitch. I said before to you, for me, like she won the night at the start in one box, and I had a right good punt at that. And you know the breeding's good. You know, Droopy Sydney, she was out of Broadstone, I think it was Azola, and you know, we bought him after he done 28, 37 in his, I think it was his first or second 525 in Cork. Then actually, that was around the 27th of June, I think. We entered him for an open race in Cork, and he was in 2 box, and Des's dog Pestana was in 1, and Pestana led down the inside. Now he hadn't the early pace of Pestana, but in fairness, he checked the bend. Now he wouldn't have got near Pestana, but it did give me good encouragement, because I myself has following dogs. I reckon Pestana was probably one of the best early pace dogs I've seen outside of Chart King. Not outside him, but he'd be up at that level. You know what I mean? When the lids goes up, racing on,
away and gone. Yeah,
he's an outstanding dog, Pestana, and one of the best. Unfortunately, what happened to him in the Derby final, but to be quite honest, you know, he's a credit, and well done to Des and Owen, and you know, he's one of the best early pace dogs. We all know that, you know. And look, it gave me a bit of encouragement. And what we done then, I says, look, lads, things isn't that bad. You know, Pestana wasn't pulling away. You know, the gap was 4 lengths or 3 lengths. It was 27.90 that night. And look, our dog was doing 28.19 or something like that.
Even then you were going, this is a Laurels dog.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. And I said to myself, look, we'll try and bring him to Dundalk for the sprint, because he did show the early pace. We give him 1 trial round, a private trial, and we were very impressed. And after that, unfortunately, he got seeded wide. I don't know, there was some, look, it was a bit of a mix up, to be quite honest. And you know, he drew 6 boxes in the side. He won his first race, I think, in 21-24, I think it was. And then, you know, there was probably a mix up with the seeding on my own behalf as well. I don't know what. It was just a total mix up, but we got him into a race.
You're using the term mix up now, but in a more private setting, you might be using a different word. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. No, so he was in 6 box then, and look, he had no chance out there. So okay. And then we went for the Laurels, and look, we were lucky enough, but he showed his early pace in the races, and he was entitled to be in it with every chance. He done, I think, good runs all along, and he was out there in front to be shot, but he kept checking the bends now, in fairness. But you know,
but from a Greyhound man's point of view, he was never one where you went, oh, he was flying under the radar. Like, he was always up there. He was always in the top sort of 4 or 5 Greyhounds in the stake, the way he ran through it. So it wasn't a shock by any stretch of imagination when he won. And in fairness, when you reflect on that Laurels final, it was an unbelievable run by the Brody's dog, and of course the Blast dog coming at you. But your fella had shown the speed to get there, you know, the determination to come back, and the strength to hold on. You know, there was nothing lucky about his victory in the Laurels final.
No. There was nothing lucky about it. Like, in fairness, he won on merit. There's no question about that. He was out in front, as you say.
Don't worry, Mickey, I'm fishing. I want you to speak up the dog now. Come on.
No. Look, he's a decent dog, and look, it's great that he won it, and it's great for all of us, because look, as I say, you know, we never picture ourselves as winning. So we're in the doggy game all our life, but we were never top owners. You know what I mean?
You were never in the classic winning game.
No, never in the classic winning. No. But look, we had great times, great night.
Well, you ended that in style. He hasn't run since that faithful night. You've seen the dog, however, you were telling us about him that earlier on. I was half expecting to see him in the Gold Cup, because the 525 around Shelburne Park would probably really suit him. But what's the plan this year? Because obviously he's still young.
We were actually aiming for the Gold Trophy, Ian, but you know, there was 2 or 3 weeks of frost, and Johnny felt he couldn't gallop him, because of, you know, and just the Tokyo being the 16th of January with the frost there, the couple of weeks there, blowing cock, he was saying that, look, he didn't want to go to the Gold Trophy, because he wasn't, you know, his he'd like him, because he kind of, after the Laurels, he left him off for a few weeks.
Yeah, if they're not fit, they'll pick up injuries. You don't want
to but the aim was to go to the Gold Trophy, but he just felt that because, you know, he didn't get galloping into him this last few weeks, to just leave him off. So the plan would be to go to the sprint and Dundalk would be one that we would definitely be thinking of strongly. And obviously, we'll be going back to the Laurels.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a competition where it has a history of dual winners.
Yeah, Mr. Pickwick won it a few times. I think he could have won. Well, he won it twice. He actually, Rocky Bay Foley won it twice.
Yeah, there's been a number. There's been a number in the Laurels compared to other competitions. So you're hoping that lightning strikes for, like I say, about the 6th time.
Yeah. I would hope that lightning strike well. You know, he runs the track great. And look, we run a few open competitions between now and then, but like it'd be great if we could go well in the sprint and the dog, because it's my own track, and you know, I make the book there all my life, and my father.
As a man that makes a book and is not afraid to have a bet, I have to ask you: Did you back him to win the Laurels, or is it hard enough to get on these days?
He was 20-1 at the start. He was no value really, you know, but it's impossible to get on, to be quite honest. And I think the young fellas might have had a few quid on between them, you know. But
I bet they did. They did some shouting the final night.
Yeah. So no, I didn't back him. I was happy that he won, you know. It would be a day now I'd pull him away, no doubt about that.
Well, listen, Mickey, we'll be back to you in a few minutes. We have a couple more questions for you. But now we're going to a young man who we're going to try and convince to remain in college for a couple more years before he goes full-time back into the dogs. John, Greyhounds, very much your life, your passion.
Oh, definitely, yeah, sure. Like, we would have grew up around dogs all our lives. Probably wouldn't have had much choice but to get involved with dogs. You know, it's father being involved in his whole life. So it's me and the 2 sisters, Marie and Laura, here the whole time, and it worked out great with the lockdown coming. We were all at home from last March, you know, with the dogs and stuff. So just plenty of work to keep us going, you know. Like.
You can, of course, tell your father that the results are showing for you being at home for all that time. That, you know, this is how you're going to convince him. Look how well the dogs have been running for the last 7 or 8 months, Dad, you know, since I got home.
Yeah, don't worry, I'd be reminding him every day about letting her know. Don't worry, I'd be keeping on to him now, letting her know.
Yeah, amazing champ. He's obviously enough. He's an 18 whelp, but he's a late 18 whelp. He only sort of trialed in March, and then of course lockdown hit. His next trial, or his next mark on his card, should I say, was in July. He did a 28-18 at Shelburne Park. It was clear before then, you probably knew he had a bit of a flyer, but that 28-18 trial really just confirmed it.
I did, like, before I think lockdown, he got his first 5-5 in Kilkenny. I think he done 29-20 for his first 5-5 in Kilkenny, which would be great running. Like, so we always knew he could run a small bit, you know. I think Liam Peacock bred him. I think he's out. The mother was an A5, so she was no cool with any pet or anything. The mother, you know, you probably couldn't have given him away for nothing if he wanted at the start, you know. Then lockdown hit anyway. We're kind of all at home around the dogs, and we'd never usually be a kennel for keeping dogs and training them. We'd always sell them after our first race. The father wouldn't let us get attached to any dogs, you know, everything would be put in the pocket straight away. But then we held on to him, and I think we brought him up to Shelburne. He qualified in 28-18. I think we'd brought him up the Monday previous for an unrecorded trial. I think there was a problem with the hair was breaking the beams in the trial, so people were getting obscure times back, ridiculous. So we tried them anyway. We got back at time. Me and the father had fallen out in the way down. We're saying, this dog as good as we thought. We thought we were after making right foods of ourselves all together. So I said, look, one thing.
So which side were you on? Were you, he is as good, or were you saying he's not good?
I don't know what side I was on. I was confused for a while. So we just said, look, we'll bring him up. We said, and we'll give him a trial before race. And look, there'll be no hiding spaces then around Shelburne. Sure, Jace, we looked at the clock and nearly fell down above in the place, you know, like we nearly had to call an ambulance to get us home. Like.
Of course, hindsight is 2020. We now know that he certainly needs further than 5.25, despite the fact that his big win did come over to 5.25. This is an absolute powerhouse. Like, from the second bend home, he's as fast as any dog in training. Back then, did you know that? Or did you have any guide? Like, were you taking splits in Shelburne? Do you do the clock yourselves? Like, when you were coming home after that 28-18, were you asking yourselves, like, where was he doing it? Or was he just doing it everywhere?
I think he done a 2:07 and a 16 dead split in the trial before racing that night. But we always thought he had a good bit of early, but when he came to racing, then he kind of lost most of his early, which is funny enough. We don't know where it went. And it's nearly the same with the Billy's Diva as well. She kind of lost her early, but they all look to be real strong running dogs home, you know, like, so they're probably suit like 550, 575, 600 in Shelburne's probably his ideal distance, you know.
It sounds like he didn't have an awful lot of experience before that 28-18 trial, just a couple of unofficial spins and the mark on his card. So I suppose you were entitled to expect him to improve through the competition, and that's exactly what he did. Off the second bend in the final, when you saw Ballymac Gabo out front, you went to yourself, probably, we have a chance here.
Oh, we did. We got in behind the right dog, you know, on the right night, like, so we're lucky it kind of opened up for us. And look, sure, he left it late enough to come, but sure, look, he got there. Anyways,
Yeah,
that's
he did some he did some running off that final turn.
oh geez, my heart is in my mouth coming up. I listened to the commentary. I didn't know even after, just 5 minutes after, if we had won it or not, you know, like, but oh, you're in a great race that night, you know, it was a great memory for us all. Like.
Yeah, just a clue. When he's on the outside of the track in Shelburne Park, I tell you, add a half a length to it and you're up. Okay, that's the main thing. Of course, he wasn't finished with. You put him into the juvenile derby. We were all hoping he'd probably run the derby because the 550 looked to be right up his street. But you made the wise call there. I assume you're not regretting not putting him into the derby. It was very early for him. Still very, very inexperienced.
I was still young at the time, you know, like, and we said probably wanted a few more races in and get a bit more experience before we go for the derbies and stuff. Probably this year now would be probably more primed for him, you know, like, because during the lockdown we hadn't really much trials or schooling into him, so I was probably still very unexperienced, like, so yeah, we put him into the puppy derby anyway, and I think he got bet in the semi-final of that, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say he was beaten 3 parts of a length into 4th by Skywalker Barry, who subsequently went on to win the final. Do you have a sense of what if, or listen, you had your big parade day and you look forward to 2021 now instead?
I know we got our turn that night. I think he turned 4th Skywalker Barry that night, so it wasn't the Ballymac A1 in front of him. No, it's Skywalker Barry would be a very hard dog to pull back, so he's a good dog. But then after the popular run, we ran him in a few races and we switched him to a wide seed, put the wide seed on him, so we found that he's trapping a lot better off the outside now since we've done that with him, like, so.
Yeah, he certainly managed to turn a bit closer in those subsequent 2 or 3 starts over the 550. He did one very big run, and then he chased home some really talented greyhounds, the likes of the Broadstrand Bono and a couple of others over the 550. Razzle Dazzle Peaky, you know, who when he gets on the bunny is very hard to pick up, but staying on very, very strongly indeed. And then you took the view to step him up again to 575 yards, and he produced a massive run at Shelburne.
Yeah, he ran well that night after meeting a few hot pots, as you said, there, Broadstrand Bono and Razzle Dazzle Peaky. Then I think he's night came then he bet Cool Fox, I think a length or half length, and he went on then the following weekend to win on the Winter Racing Festival night, Cool Fox, and then he kind of let us down a bit on the Night Stars there. He didn't really run up to scratch, but I would forgive him for that. You know, every dog is an off night, so he seems to be coming back great to himself now. We left him off for the winter, so fingers crossed now for here on now.
Yeah, normally in this situation we'd be saying like he really is the kennel star, but you know this isn't quite the case. You've got Billy's Diva, and by all accounts, she's amongst the very, very fastest bitches we've seen over the last few years. It just so happens that she's one of an incredible crop of bitches we have in Ireland at present. You know, in any normal year, be going, wow, this is nearly Oak's favourite, and all of a sudden you're realising you've got the likes of the Ballymac Ariels, Ballymac Beanies that you have to compete against, Droopy's Curios, but yet. Even then, Billy's Diva is certainly one of the leading fancies for Oak's Glory. How is she, and what's the plan?
Oh, sure. Look, she's probably unlucky now to be around the same time as Ballymac Ariel. There's probably a lot of good dogs around now, even dogs and bitches. But look, she's in great form. She'll take her chances. I think she's eligible for the Produce Stake anyway, and the Concord, I think, is she? She's a February.
Yeah, of course.
So look, she'll probably run at her own age. You know, she'll probably be locking heads with Ballymac Ariel a lot probably in the coming year, like, which is probably a bit unfortunate, like. But
well, it's not. It's unfortunate for you. It's great for us because that's what we want to see.
Oh, look, we'll take her on. We might get her on the right night, you know, like, so. Look, she's plenty of potential anyway. She's out of JT Sahara. And good news, and we would have bred JT Sahara and good news ourselves, like, so she's a real homebred one, like, and look, she done the talk from day one. She's done 28.09, I think, her first race up in Shelburne, like. Probably a few people were saying the track was fast and the track was this and the track was that, but she came out afterwards anyway, 28.04 and 28.11. So she.
I remember ringing your father after that, and you saying, people are saying the track is fast." I said, "Listen, the track may be fast, but it takes a fast one to do 28.09. I wouldn't be too worried about that." You know, nobody looks back at track records and go, "Oh, the track was fast." Name a track record that wasn't broken on a fast track. Just remember that. Don't let people put that off. One more question about her. Of course, the night. In the Comerford Cakes, she looked a winner into the opening bend, but of course it was a dog that she would have schooled against that got in her way.
Oh, yeah, it looks like we sold the 2 dogs to beat ourselves in the final in the end. It was well off. We nearly kept hold of them all together, you know, like.
Explosive boy, this is the dog that was in track 2 in the night. Yeah.
Oh, he's a dead on rail or that. Like, we knew going up what was going to happen. We had to clear him before the bend, but look, it didn't happen. Finals are finals, and you can't take it away from Ariel as well. She's in a great race, you know, like, and fair juice to her. Sure, look, hopefully might get her in the coming year now again, like.
Yeah, lads, you know, you're all in a very enviable position. Like I know, Des, that you lost the services of Pestana, but you still have the likes of a great name that to look forward to. Before I let you go, we're going to talk briefly about 2021 and what you're hoping for. Well, Mickey, firstly, I have to ask you: are all your eggs in the Run to See a basket, or have you reinvested a few quid with the lads? Is there another superstar coming up, or is it all about Run to See and that drive for two?
No. At the moment, it's Run to See it. We have a couple of courting pubs, but look, I don't know what's going to be there, but with Charlie Fall, but Running to See it is, but like his 2000 for Graham perspective, and somebody that follows the form and that the Graham perspective, 2021 is looking forward to the likes of Billy's Diva, and we'll say Ballymac Ariel, Ballymac Beanie, amazing champ. Then the dog probably that I'd reckon that will go really good as well as Ollie Bray's Night Tornado. I think he's a real good dog,
Yeah, hugely fast ground.
You've Ballymac Cash Out, he's decent as well. So as a perspective of Greyhound racing, it's going to be a hellish year.
Right, last question. As a Dundalk man, if I was give you the option, winning the National Sprint or the Irish Sprint Cup or the Laurels, which would you go for?
Oh, the Irish Sprint Cup.
Once you hear the northern accent, you can't get away from the sprinters. You know that.
Just before you end, Irene, with me staff, I'd just like to pay my condolences to bookmaker Jerry Lawless. You might remember Jerry Lawless. He passed away yesterday.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
In the hospital, and Jerry, my brother, was Sean's, and them they'd be in the game like all the life since I was being a kid. Bookmaking in Dundalk. Now, Jerry hasn't made a book in a number of years, but he was also always at the dogs every night, and one of the great characters of the game. He did own a dog one time called Gary's Champion. He was a glass dog. So look, I'd like to offer me condolences to.
Nice touch, Mickey. Nice touch. We pass on our condolences to all involved. Des, you of course have great name that we've spoken of him. A lot to look forward to. He's a real Derby dog, but there's no shortage of what you can do with him. You can step up and trip if you wish. He's the sort of dog you can almost step down and trip as well, because if he slips in behind the right 5 to 5 yard dogs, he'd pick them up with considerable ease on the right night. But I hear that you have another couple of well-bred types, maybe one or two with Owen. Anything more you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, I have two with Owen at the moment, and of course one or two booked for a little bit later on. But we have a dog called Zafiro, right? I'm not saying much more now. Zafiro, right?
You've given us his name. That's more than most would do.
He's in April 19. He's by Sydney, Troopy Sydney out of Razzle. So he's a brother of Cash Out. Now, I'm trying not to use Cash Out in the same sentence because I get totally carried away. But when he started trialing him first, we were delighted. And then the Pestana thing was that, so we put everything down. He's a big dog, he's 80 pounds. And he kind of, I won't say lost his luster a little bit, but we were kind of saying, well, the early is a bit of a problem. But he went down to Cork there recently, and he caught us out a little bit. He's 1788. So we're getting.
I thought you were going to say 1710, but listen.
No. He'll do that tonight. He runs. What I'm saying to you is, no, we're slightly thinking that maybe we might come down like Mickey and Dundalk. I would love to see him come down to Tralee for the juvenile. Now, that's a big ask. So I leave that up to Mr. McKenna, and Sean will no doubt have an influence as well there. And so we're hoping, yeah.
What you're saying is this time next year we could be speaking to you in a review of 2021.
I'd love to think it. Yeah. And he's also called after a holiday resort out in Spain, so maybe there's some connection.
Perhaps there's. Pestana is named after a hotel. Was it a hotel chain?
It was, yeah. A hotel in Portugal or Spain. And then when he started questioning me a lot, and it was brilliant, I enjoyed every bit of it, I then looked up the Spanish meaning, and it turned out to be eyelash, as in...
Well, they're your eyebrows.
Well, sorry. I was thinking, no eyelash.
Listen, maybe when this is all over, we'll get a chance to go out on the lash. Never mind eyelash.
Now you're
Listen,
talking.
well done, Des. Best of luck in
Thanks, Ian.
best of luck in
Thanks.
2021. John,
Thanks,
we're going to
Mike.
fit. We're
Thanks,
going to
John.
fit. Don't be going away now. We're not
Oh,
going away yet.
right,
We're going to
okay.
see you can chance that. John, we obviously know of the two amazing champion Billy's Diva, and they are. Listen, they're raw. They're young. You've got a big year to look forward to, but it's a big operation down there. You've got some really very well bred types. Anything coming through that we should keep an eye out for, or even just a brood bitch? Do you think is throwing one or two?
Oh, do we have the mother of Billy Diva now? She has 4 dogs and 1 bitch for September, so they're in school and out in the kennel out the back there, but they look promising in it. I think with 1 bitch, she might be another Billy Diva now, we think, so she'll probably go to Newbridge for the on-race bitch day. We have 4 dogs as well, but they're probably a bit behind now with the weather and everything, so they might be off to Lenniscarthy and the Redmills, you know, like so.
Man, you know at your age now, John, you're allowed to be brash. You're allowed to be absolutely cocksure. You can turn to us now and say, and lads, if I don't win a classic with one of these, I'd be amazed.
I know I can't be letting much slip now to keep it all in the low, you know. That's how we work.
Yeah, don't undo all the good work. Although your father doesn't mind selling 1 or 2 of them, so you maybe could be the right time to big them up.
Oh, could be. And the mother actually of JT's Harrods in pup the Ballymac Bulger now this time she is. So hopefully she's a big litter of pups now because the Ballymacs can't do anything wrong at the minute, you know, like so it'd be nice to have a litter of them, you know.
Yeah, I don't know how your father's going to cope when you go back to college.
Oh no, it'd be lost. I might even go back now. Think about it. So no.
Go back, all right. Go back. Don't let us put you off. Listen, gentlemen, it's been a great 2020, a great 2021 to look forward to. You all have, it seems, a good one or a good 2 or 3 to look forward to. More success. Have a great year, and hopefully this time next year we'll speak to you again. Good luck, lads. Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Ian.
Ian.
Thanks,
Thank
Ian.
Well, that's it for our
Bye.
continued view. Oh, there, the boys chatting to each other. That's it, our continued review of 2020. We'll have more in the coming days, so why not stay with us here on Talking Dogs?